As a child, in the mid-'60s, I had a family friend that had a black Norton Atlas that was an absolute lunatic. Drugs, alcohol. He pulled out of my parents' driveway one day and wheelied it down the street, banging gears, and pissed my father off, and I've been in love with him ever since.
It's a hot weekend in June. Thousands of vintage motorcycle enthusiasts have been eagerly anticipating it, the Vintage Motorcycle Classic at Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. This is where hundreds of motorcycles have been congregated to participate in road racing, motocross, supermoto, trials, a vintage motorcycle show, and swap meet. The weekend is sponsored by AHRMA, the American Historic Racing Motorcycle Association. Roger Preston, AHRMA volunteer and race controller at this weekend's vintage races, talks about the origins of AHRMA.
AHRMA started approximately 1986. It was the culmination of several different organizations, both on the East Coast, West Coast, and as well as in the South. The mission statement today is the same as it always has been, and that's the preservation of the vintage motorcycle, and in doing so, we're doing it by racing them. I used to be one of the kids at 40 when I basically started racing. We've got the build program going on right now, predominantly in the Illinois schools, where they put together a Honda 160, and if there's somebody of age, being 18, they can race it. And it's a school project. I believe there's 6 of them here this weekend.
Nan Teske, director of the Build Project.
Essentially, this program is about teaching high school students life skills, trade skills, business skills. What we do is match teams of high school students up with bike building mentors in a 100-day competition to restore vintage motorcycles. We give them $2,000 and a barn condition find bike.
So it sounds like they're getting a lot of life lessons out of this program.
Exactly. When you start the program, the students assess the bike. They have to create an action plan, decide the direction that they're going in. Are we building an art bike? Are we building a fast bike? They have to create a budget, figure out how to stick to the budget. Like the students design the bike, they build the bike. They're really doing it all themselves. The mentors are really there to truly mentor and guide and shepherd them.
So does it all culminate here then at Road America during Vintage Motorcycle Weekend?
It does. They're racing in the CB 160 race, 175 Le Mans start race, which starts shortly, and also in the GP 200. And then next weekend we'll be racing in Renton as well.
Fantastic. Well, thank you and congratulations to everybody.
Thanks.
Pete Beyer from Appleton, Wisconsin has been racing for over 5 years and talks about the AHRMA class he races in.
Well, I started out in heavyweight production, which is novice class on the Yamaha. Now I'm running 750 Sports where we can modify it and change quite a few things in the suspension and the motor, which makes it a little more fun.
Tell us about what you've had to go through to dial in your Yamaha XS650.
Well, it says 650 on the side, but actually it's a 750 now, so we put a 750 kit on it with cams. But the biggest thing is getting them to handle good, because, this is a 77 Yamaha, and they didn't handle too good. So now it's got FZ 600 front forks on it with a radiant swing arm and, little tricks here and there. So it doesn't handle like your old Yamaha.
Projections. How do you expect to do this weekend?
Well, probably in the middle of the pack. That's what I'm hoping for. It's a new motor. I'm getting it dialed in. I don't want to wreck anything. So, I'd like to finish. I'm just out here to have fun, It's all about the fun. But sometimes we get a little carried away.
Ivanov holding in for strong third.
Road America's natural park-like setting provides excellent and beautiful on-site camping resources for event goers. The lush, green, tree-lined course, situated throughout the rolling hills of the Kettle Moraine, illustrates exactly how Road America got its nickname, America's National Park of Speed. And on a weekend like this, you never know what you're going to see. A huge part of the weekend is the Vintage Motorcycle Swap Meet. The swap meet brings in everything from junk to gems. This is where you can possibly find that elusive part or accessory to finally finish or begin that vintage motorcycle restoration project. Also in the swap meet area, you'll come across a number of clubs and organizations, like the Chicago Norton Owners Club. Past president and current activities chairman John Revilla.
The club has in the neighborhood of 175 or 178 currently paid members. We hover between 160 and 180 most times. We're one of the largest individual clubs in the entire world, I'm told. We are sanctioned by the AMA. We are sanctioned by the International Norton Owners Association. We're very active.
What kind of response do you get from attendees at this weekend's event?
It's like bees to honey. People walk around a corner and see these bikes and die over them. Some of them don't even know what they are. They just remember Norton BSA Triumph and they charge over here.
Another one of the major draws to the event is the Vintage Motorcycle Show, sponsored by Motorcycle Classics Magazine. Editor-in-Chief, Richard Backus.
What does a weekend like this at Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin mean to motorcycle enthusiasts and to Motorcycle Classics Magazine?
Well, to us it means a lot just for the obvious reasons. It's an opportunity to get exposure, to introduce people to our brand. I always hate that word, but that's what it is. You need to introduce people to your brand and to share with them who we are, what we do, and why we do what we do. Motorcyclists, and especially vintage motorcyclists, are fueled by passion. We're very passionate about what we do, and when they meet us up front, face to face, they get to see that. It really makes a big difference. I think the more important thing is we're allowed to be here, or able to be here, because of what's going on in the vintage community. The vintage motorcycle community keeps growing. It's growing every year. 10 years ago, an event like this wasn't possible. It really wasn't. People weren't going to support it. There were plenty of vintage motorcycle enthusiasts, but they weren't as active as they are now. And we're seeing more and more people. And all you have to do is go out to the shows, and you can see that. We got Vintage Motorcycle Days in Ohio. We got the Barber Vintage Festival in Alabama. We've got big events in California, Detroit, Milwaukee, Chicago. I mean, it's exploding.
Phil Taylor takes a trophy with his show entry.
What motivates you to find an old motorcycle, tear it apart, put it back together better than the way it was before?
Well, I don't know. I think maybe some of these bikes just deserve better than what they've had in their lot in life. To see these things languishing away, garages rusting away to nothing when they could be very usable, rideable machines is just, I think it's just it. This was the first Harley that I'd ever done, and it was different. It was a learning experience, to say the least.
500 Premier 500.
Vintage motorcycle road racing, motorcycle show, swap meet, and camping. If any of these push your go button, then don't miss the ARMA Vintage Motorcycle Classic every June at Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. America's National Park of Speed.